Hello, and thank you for joining us on another Just for Today. I'm Jamal Normie,
Hey, I'm Miranda, the addict.
and today's topic of discussion is COVID. The Is it positive or is it negative? But to kick things off, we have a scripture. It goes.
Psalms 32:6. That's why all the faithful should pray to you during troubled times, so that a flood of water will not reach them.
All right, that's Psalms is the book of what do they say? Wisdom. If you ever want to start somewhere, start by reading Psalms. There's a lot of good things in there about life and everything. But getting into it, the discussion. So COVID, is it good or is it bad? You know, I can really see both sides, but it might be better than it is worse. So hear me out, because I know there's a lot of people that are in recovery trying to get away from drugs and things of that nature, and when you're sitting alone, with all your thoughts to yourself, that can be pretty hard. That can be a pretty hard thing to go through, right? And there's a lot of people that haven't gotten the money. Um, there's a lot of people that could be homeless soon, and then even still after this, maybe even with them holding off the evictions, um, you might not have a place to stay after that. You still have to pay all that money back. So if you don't have a job, it's just delaying the inevitable, right? So don't get me wrong, there are some negatives to it. And you can't really always blame God for everything that happens. The devil's there, and a lot of times, a lot of the bad things that are happening are for him. But in this case, I think I could see how God could allow it. Ultimately, it's about looking for the positives and things that are happening. What do you think are some of the negatives?
Well, just to touch on the positive really quick, when it comes to like recovery and addiction, starting recovery during this time, people may think that it's impossible, but being in the rooms, Narcotics Anonymous, like we came together, like we ended up doing Zoom meetings, which is like never heard of, because people didn't want to be out there. They don't want people to know who they are, and it being available digitally. But that actually brought a lot of us together and a lot of us closer. And it's really convenient to know that we can just pick up our phone and we're in a meeting right then and there. We don't have to worry about driving across town or making it at a certain time, just knowing that like we all came together and we were able to still give that support out to all the recovering addicts. And there's like quite a few, just locally that have, gotten clean and have stayed clean during this COVID pandemic. So it was a beautiful thing that, even during this pandemic, we're able to get together and keep people in recovery and keep them clean.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely positive. But what do you think? I said, but what are the negatives though? What do you say is negative?
Negative, just the whole, just the unknown and not having leadership in what's going on. We don't have no clear answers, and things are being told to us when it may not be the truth, and because of this illness is so unknown, we don't know what the future holds. We don't know what will happen in 1 week or even 6 months. And just again, not having the leadership, there's no one there to have the answers. Which even if you don't have the answers, acknowledge, hey, we don't have the answers, and you know what, but we have a game plan. This is what we need to do, and if that doesn't work, then plan B. There's just no game plan in place, and that's pretty scary.
And then having a leader that's not following the rules, like
Stubborn.
Came here and wasn't wearing a mask, and then our governor's upset. Governor's all upset because everyone has these rules, and then he thinks that he's just above it all. But that's a whole other thing. Leadership, so ultimately the leader is God. There's not a lot of people that are looking to him for it. So this is kind of like maybe we're all being put to time out, to sit to our corners. The to sit and think about what we're doing. You know, this is we made a mess of things, and we're continuing to make a mess of things. But especially America in comparison to everywhere else, it seems to be the worst. You know, so it's not. You can't just sit here and blame it on God or anything else. We did this, you know, for the most part. We're, you know, as far as the world goes, we didn't do the COVID, but
Yeah,
you know,
we did.
just yeah, maybe. But it's just like when you have kids, you know, sometimes you gotta, you know, pat them on their butt a couple times and put them in the corner, you know, to make them realize to stop and think about what's going on. So when I stop and think, you know, so maybe it's keeping you from using, maybe, so you have to have money to buy, right? So if you don't have any money and, you know, granted you're sitting at home, you're in your thoughts, you know, maybe it's giving you the opportunity to reach out, you know, to get in touch with God, you know, not have the money to buy the drugs, not, you know, and it's kind of like doing a reset for you without you having to actually go into a home or anything else, you know. Maybe this is allowing you to hit your rock bottom while still being able to figure everything out, you know. Maybe it's giving you a new opportunity to things. Like I was ear hustling today at lunch, a bunch of girls sat around at tables around me and they were talking, you know. They were saying how they're all scared and how all this stuff is bad, and then there's this one of them that has a husband, and the husband is now stay at home, you know, still getting a little bit of money, but it's enough to get by, and it's helping them to realize things. It's making their relationship better. Like he's able to spend time. They're not working, you know, 10 hours overtime a day. He's cooking, taking care of the kids, and how honestly they're still getting the same amount of money with the checks, and but it's better on their relationship. It's giving them a chance to figure things out, and they're kind of like, well, actually, you know, maybe this is something that we can do from now on. We can afford this. We're not wasting as much money, you know, as they used to, you know. So it's made them conscious of the money. It's better on the relationship. The kids are now in a better place, you know. They're homeschooled or whatever, but he's there to take care of them, you know. So there's a lot of positives in things, and even, you know, a lot of people are getting a lot more money than what they were getting, you know, with those $600 checks added on there when you think about it over a whole. So people are buying houses, you know, people are, you know, trying to find their own businesses, you know. They're not relying on going to that job every day. You're still getting paid more than what you're getting paid, and it's giving you an opportunity to find what you're supposed to be doing, you know.
I actually had the opposite today. I had a gentleman come in the office today, and he was explaining how, you know, he was off from like March to June, and they have like a 4-year-old kid, and, you know, now starting, you know, the online schooling with a 3-year-old, and it's just him and his wife and his in-laws at the house, and he was just explaining how he was going crazy, you know, like, yeah, you love your wife, but having that routine of going to work, coming home, doing the dinner, going to bed, and starting it all over versus like being with your significant other like 24/7, it put a toll on them. So I think it's just, you know, case by case scenario, depending on the relationship that you have with people. But yeah.
But that's true. But then again, though, if these people are they in God, or
yeah,
they are? Yeah. I mean, I can see that still, even, you know, having to be around the family all day, depending. But so he's in a family, and he's just not happy then?
Well, like, it's stressful. Like, well, you know, when you have a 3-year-old, it's different. They're not as independent, so you have to do a lot, you know, like taking care of them and stuff. And, you know, he's able to discipline or whatever, but the mom, you know, she's like a pushover, so, you know, he has to pick up that slack. So, you know, there's a little bit of balance there. But that happens in a lot of households, you know, where the wife, you know, does X, Y, and Z, and the husband's supposed to be like A and B, you know, and then like now that the roles are kind of joined together, I can see how it brings conflict, you know.
So then, not to get off the subject, and let's break that down then, though. So who would be doing this if he wasn't there? If he was working, who would be doing this?
Well, both of them, I mean, because they both work. She, you know, I don't know.
So would they be paying somebody to do this for them?
Well, no, because they have the in-laws staying with them.
So then the in-laws would be doing it.
Yeah.
Instead of him?
Doing what?
Taking care of the kids and whatnot.
No, I think they both take care of the kids. It's just more the dad's more the disciplinary and the mom's more of the, coddler, I should say.
But that's what I mean though. So what's changed in how they're taking care of the kids? Is he taking care of the kids more?
I guess he's home more, so to be more aware of it, and now that he's home, so she's like, hey, can you take care of this? He explained, her timeout is okay. You go in the corner, and he's there for less than a minute. If when she says, can you handle him? Like, he already knows. The boy knows. Oh, that's dad. I have to listen to him. And so, his timeout is like 5 minutes versus 1 minute. So it's easier for her to just, give responsibility over to him. So he's, and plus the stress of not having a job. So he's had to work from like March to June, and the stress of even now because of the type of work he does, he's still waiting to see if he's being, laid off or not. So that anxiety of knowing like he's the only breadwinner of the house, knowing that like if he does lose his job, and like, the family members are gonna have to pick up, the slack on that end.
So then let's break that down then also. So one, God just has to rely on him and not stress about these sort of things. So if they are really in God, then what is he stressing over? Because if God has a plan, right?
Yeah. And that's what I was going to touch on when you were saying that about, us being put in timeout, like, us not having leadership, in the president or, officials or whatnot. Like, we all we're stripped of everything. And, God wants us to see that he's the only ruler. He's the only one that we need to rely on. So, absolutely. I know I've been praying about things that I never thought I'd be praying about worldly, since this happened. Like, to truly, get everybody's stuff together so we can, like, heal and move forward. But not everybody is godly. Not everybody knows that God is the ultimate ruler. And we all want to go to like we're looking for the president or our governor or whoever else for guidance and authority. But you're right, it's God who we need to be going to.
So then two, if God is putting everybody in timeout to try to realize this, so the people that are not in God because I don't care who you are, but most of the time, even people that are not in church and everything, the first thing when something goes wrong is, oh, God help me. Yeah. But whether they believe it or not, they're saying it. They don't know what they're saying. It's just like a reaction.
Yeah.
So when you look at it that way, if God's putting us in time out to find him, then that's also, the other side of it.
Yeah.
And then three, so this family, going back to the family, so if they're having issues with this, maybe this is giving them time to reflect and actually figure out things in general.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be negative if you started a family. They're both their kids and everything, right? And they're in God. It shouldn't be difficult because even if you are disciplinary, maybe it's trying to make you dial back or learn something from it, and they're not learning that.
Or maybe, it's just by default, like, they're in God or whatever, but, like how Pastor says that, like, just because you come to church every Sunday and, are you actually doing the work? Like, just because, you're baptized and, you say you're Christian or Catholic, whatever it may be, they're just saying it doesn't mean anything. Like, you actually have to do it. Maybe that's what it is even those people who are believers aren't acting upon it. They're not doers of the word.
So, again, we're in time out. Maybe they're supposed to be figuring it out.
Good point. Yeah, absolutely.
It's negative, but maybe they're supposed to be, they're not looking at it from the perspective of being someone in church,
so this is their rock bottom.
Maybe.
To be pushed into going back to God?
Yeah, or just simply to figure out their life, like to figure out what really matters and how to do things the right way, maybe. So, but there is a lot of negatives that I hear, but when I start to break down the negatives, there's a silver lining to it, there's, for the most part, there are people that are just out of, they don't have a good job, they're not getting any money, they're still waiting on money, but do they know God? Are they trying to reach out to him,
Turning to God really does help and fix and calm and, stops the water from hitting you.
and he doesn't put any. I forgot the scripture.
It doesn't give you more than what you can handle.
Yeah. So, again, putting us in time out to try to figure it out. It's up to us to try to figure it out. He can't make us figure it out. So
this is his way of forcing us to figure it out.
Yeah.
And also, the positive of it, just being more aware and educated on illnesses and diseases. I work in the medical field, and even when this came about, I learned a lot of things of how things are transferred and just normal hygienes of what you're supposed to do. And again, there's a lot of stubbornness and hard-headedness when people are being told, this whole mask thing, wearing a mask, and oh well, you can't tell me what to do and wear a mask. I don't want to wear a mask. And it's not about just you wearing a mask for yourself. It's to protect those around you, the elderly and the kids who carry certain things and they bring it home and they don't know. But just even of just washing hands and just basically, if you don't put your hands in your mouth, that can, stop the spread of, COVID. But I've definitely been aware of what I'm touching, who's touched what do I need to clean, which is a good thing in general,
Yeah. And like you're saying, to be more aware for other people in general, to think about other people. You're wearing a mask. Sure, it helps you, but it helps the other person more because you never know what you're carrying. So that's America's having so many issues because everyone, their rights and this and that. Again, it seems like we're being put in a corner because that's not the way we're supposed to be.
Right. And those who have a compromised immune system, if they don't have a label that says, "Hey, my immune system's low," and because we're being ignorant by not wearing a mask and rebelling. These people who can't even go to the store or just slowly getting out of their homes, they can't risk that because there's still people out there who don't care and are just doing whatever they want to do because we have rights and we have freedoms. So that's pretty sad for me to hear that.
Really, I feel like there's more positives than negatives, and it's given us an opportunity to look at us as a culture.
Just being able to push pause on things. I remember when I hit my rock bottom, everything was just happening so fast, all the emotions and just dealing with so much. And I remember just begging and pleading, I just wanted everything to stop. I wanted the world to stop so I can sort out my feelings, sort out my whatever I had going on, so then I can just jump back in and pick up the pieces as normal. But that's not how it happens. That's not how it works for everybody. But right now we do have a push pause, for the whole world to stop and see what we're doing to this earth, And but it's just nice to not always have to be on the go, with family and work and activities and just everything always constantly on the go. It just felt like we never had time to just stop and relax. And so I appreciate the quality of time that I had with my kids. It was during the time when my son was about to graduate. He was a senior and he missed out his whole senior year. But I mean, if I'm being honest, I appreciated that he got to stay home because when you're a senior, you're always out and about trying to do independent things and slowly become independent. And that was really kind of bothering me, but I appreciated that he was home more. We got to do things more, and even with my daughter, just more quality time. You get to spend quality time with your family.
Quality time, kind of have a vacation in a way. You're still getting paid, enough or more for a lot of people. The majority versus the few that, because it's not, everybody of course doesn't have it that way, but there is definitely a silver lining to all this. I feel that is more positive than negative.
Yeah.
People being able to go on vacations and hang out and just spending time with their family, whether you wanted to or not, being forced to maybe mend some of those relationships, with what was your significant other, your kids, a lot of people were so busy. Another conversation I was, overhearing, you're so busy that your kids kind of get pushed. It's they're being raised by social media and the TV, giving time to be able to just spend with your family, get them away from that, is a blessing. So there is a lot of positives that are coming out of this.
But another, like on the negative side, what I noticed with people in general, like once, come what, things slowly started to come open, like in May, there's just more hostility. There's a lot more hostility. I think people have a lot of fear inside. They don't know, because we don't know, this is so unknown, we can't plan things, and it's causing a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression. Even driving, I noticed a difference, when people are driving, the riots happened. Just we've been so secluded and built up, we couldn't release whatever, we're dealing with inside. Those who don't have God in their life and who don't know God, it's just this built up anger and anxiety and fear. And so now that things are slowly opening up, there's just a lot more hostility and just, there's no direction. Even with, like I said, I work in the medical field and my patients, like I've known these patients for like 10 plus years, and all of a sudden there's like a change in behavior. There's a change of attitude, which, surprises me. So I'm like, that's not you. That's not normal for you to respond or react that way. So I'm noticing people just don't know how to handle, what's going on.
But just like a kid, when you're put in timeout, you're gonna kick and scream and cry and get angry, if you don't know how to handle yourself. So instead of being angry like this, you should be looking towards, God and trying to figure things out. But that's not how everyone works. It's not that no one knows, it's just they refuse or they don't know, about God. Because if everybody was on the same page with God, this would be a whole different
But how
situation.
do you get everyone on the same page? Like,
You talk to them. Like what we're doing this, and people see it, and witnessing to other people, and so on and so forth. In a positive way, not in a negative way. So, but they have to want to also, but every person, could know 5 people, 10 people, that's why we appreciate people share, sharing this is more, it's very beneficial because everyone that sees it, hopefully they get something out of it. We do this in a positive, lighten the atmosphere. But that's how, everybody has to say something to somebody else. And then they say something, and they say something, and then they say something. Sometimes things have to come from somebody that you know versus random strangers. That's the way that lives work. People learn the hard way. I learned the hard way. She learned the hard way. That's why we're here. Alright, that's all the time we have for today. Leave us a comment below with what you think about COVID. What's your positive, what's your negative? Is there a positive spin that you can put on? Well, not even a spin. Is there really a chance of it actually being positive, but you're just looking at it negatively? Or is it truly negative? Or is it truly positive? Let us know below. But most importantly, as always, keep coming back.
That's why all the faithful should pray to you, so that a flood of water
You'll be able to do it.
32 times, so that a flood of water will not reach you.
Positives and things that are happening. What do you think are some of the negatives?
Well, just to touch on the positive really quick, when it comes to like recovery and addiction. What's the word?
Stubborn, hard-headed.
Yeah.